Well, it took over 2 years to finally get here, finally, with the end of the Mega Man NES hexology, with my review of Mega Man 6. Mega Man 6 was the last Mega Man game on the NES, and was released on November 5th, 1993 in Japan, and March 1994 in the US, but it wasn't until 2014 where Power Regions got to experience the game on the 3DS Virtual Console, although Capcom decided to not publish the game back in North America. Thankfully, Nintendo of America stepped up and published the game here instead. Mega Man 6 was also where the iconic 8-bit style would be left for the 16-bit style that would be seen in Mega Man 7, which would be released in the following month for Japan. But eventually, 15 years after Mega Man 6, we would get Mega Man 9, which would see a return to the 8-bit style. Mega Man 6 was also developed alongside Mega Man X, and with it being the 6th installment for the home console side of things, Keiji Inafune, aka Inaf King, stated that having a video game franchise with 6 titles is very rare, and one of the advantages to this is that players expect certain aspects of each game to be repeated in the next, and after doing so much for the previous 5 games, he had felt that the new power-up, the Rush Adaptor, which is a new take on the Rush shit and gives us a new weapon called the Rush Power, was inevitable. Though Inafkin had some trouble with the Adaptor's designs, finding them unrealistic. And according to him, if you think about it, they shouldn't be able to combine like this. It would be awkward if parts of Rush like his necks were left over after they combined, so what was I supposed to do? But obviously we know what became of their designs. Some real Transformer stuff going on here. Like with some of the other Mega Man games, Mega Man 6 had a design contest, with over 200,000 designs being submitted. And this time 2 of the Robot Master designs were from people in North America, Nightman and Windman, these 2 being on the North American cover to pay homage to the designers. The rest were designed by Japanese fans, and it was apparently stressful when the last characters were being designed, as the designs were not meeting with the development team's schedule. Inf King had concluded, "For having hit a lot of roadblocks, I feel like we got a lot done for 6. The theme of our designs was, the world is our stage, and I really enjoyed bringing what I felt was the unique flavor of different countries into the game." Mega Man 6 was announced alongside Mega Man X and Mega Man Soccer? Who would want to play something like that? Not me, that's for sure. Sports are lame, and no one likes sports games. Just ignore the fact that I own Madden 2002 and Madden 2008. I haven't even played these. Ever. Apparently, Nintendo of America had a plan to sell it alongside Soda's Revenge, Star Tropics 2, and the NES version of Warriors Woods, in hopes that when they released the top-loading NES, consumers would buy it, alongside one of the 3 games mentioned earlier. And people actually really liked Mega Man 6, and just about everything in it was praised. GamePro was impressed with the new enemies and mid-stage bosses, but was displeased with the game's recycling of Robot Master weapons seen in the previous Mega Man games. Tony Ponce at Destructor considered Mega Man 6 the best in the series, and was also considered retro before retro was cool. And IGN listed it as the 58th best NES game, summarizing it as what it considered to be a worthwhile game in the NES catalog. However, Mega Man 6 is seen as redundant, with it being considered the cheesiest in the bunch. OneUp.com found the game's storyline to be pointless, and that the villains insult fans of the Mega Man series, and outweigh the game's soundtrack and power-ups. And 4 members of the Electronic Gaming Monthly Review panel all felt the same, one even commenting, "Okay, Mega Man was fun and original back in the days when the letters NES meant something, now the game is just getting redundant. Oh, sure, Mega Man may learn a new few tricks here and there, but the series has to end soon." Mega Man 11 would then come out in 2018, getting a 9 out of 10 from Electronic Gaming Monthly. I'm gonna be frank here for a moment. If you see my 5 previous Mega Man reviews and are expecting me to talk about each stage on its own, you're going to be very disappointed to find out that I'm not going to be doing that today. And that is for one very simple reason. Mega Man 6 is not very memorable. To me, the first ever Mega Man game I played was Mega Man 1 via totally legal means, and after that, 2, then 3, 4, and 5. And I feel like that almost everything in Mega Man 6 is just a copy, paste, and DeviantArt OC hue shift of what we've seen in the previous 5 entries, which is just really upsetting. I mean, all I remember about Mega Man 6 is that one section in Nightman stage with the springs on the ceiling and floor, which is a fun section, don't get me wrong, but it's really short. So, let's try something a little different. Maybe just this once, maybe forever, maybe every now and then, but at least for Mega Man 6, the only way I see myself reviewing this game is with the common review format. I also want to get one thing straight. Mega Man 6 is not a bad game, because it's honestly a really nice game, and it's okay that it isn't memorable. But how is that okay exactly? Well, we'll need to get there. First, starting with the intro you see at the start of the game. Mega Man 6 begins at the first annual robot tournament, where 8 of the world's most powerful robots are held, until suddenly, Mr. X, the sponsor of the tournament, took control of the robots and began taking over the world. Mega Man, shocked, asks why Mr. X is doing this. Mr. X reveals that he's been manipulating that fool Dr. Wily from the very beginning. Mega Man and Rush then springing into action. Remember this scene, it'll be very important for the future. Now we already know 2 of the 8 robots, but in total, all of them are Blizzard Man, Wind Man, Flame Man, Plant Man, Tomahawk Man, Yamato Man, Night Man, and Centaur Man. And whenever we select a Robot Master, the selection screen is actually really unique compared to the prior selection screens. Here, we can see the specific Robot Master's height, weight, attack, defense, mobility, skill, location, what they're a master of, and their name. I really enjoyed the selection screen. It feels like you're being briefed about the Robot Master before you go off to find and fight them. Which is literally what happens, it's all here. Mega Man 6 is basically an odyssey. Like, literally. From the intro, to the stage design, and even on the Japanese cover, unlike the previous games, Mega Man 6 has a real focus on the world. With the boss order I went with, we start in an Arabian temple, going to icy mountains, dense forests, the Wild West, storming a Japanese fortress, breaking into a medieval castle, exploring a sort of Atlantis area, and climbing a Chinese tower. And some of those states are really unique, 2 of my favorites being Flame Man's and Night Man's. And speaking of Flame Man, the guide I'm using to help me with the boss order suggests starting with him, and that's for 2 very good reasons. Besides the fact that his boss fight is relatively easy, but you also get the Rush power adapter for defeating him. Now Flame Man's stage is pretty unique from any Mega Man game so far, and that's for one reason. There are oil slicks that make you slow, but if any fire touches it, it then becomes a giant insta-kill bed of fire that stays there until you get a game over. Thankfully in later sections, there are these pukas that let you cross over the oil/fire, but they can only move when you land on them. Surprisingly, it's not that annoying as it only is for small distances, not a giant lake of oil. Now Flame Man, and the rest of the Robot Masters, are all very unique, having some unique ability that makes them stand out from the previous 38 Robot Masters. Flame Man makes fire pillars come up from the floor, Blizzard Man brings snow up to get it all over you, Plant Man is like a Void Man knew how to jump, Tomahawk Man throws a tomahawk in parts of his headdress, Yamato Man throws a spear, Night Man lashes out with his flail, Centaur Man freezes you in place, and Wind Man sucks you towards him, or tries to crush you, or he shoots 2 propellers at you. Unfortunately though, just about every boss fight with the Robot Masters can be summed up as, they jump from left to right, doing no attack, or do an upgraded version of a previous boss fight. For example, Flame Man is like an upgraded version of Heat Man from Mega Man 2, Plant Man is like an upgraded version of Wood Man from Mega Man 2, or a downgraded version of Skull Man from Mega Man 4, Wind Man is like a different version of Magnet Man from Mega Man 3, and so on and so on. Obviously comparing the boss fights to the previous games is gonna suck the joy out of them, but that's kind of hard to do when this is the 6th sequel of Mega Man on the home consoles. Even then, when not comparing them, they're just kinda stale cause again, we fought 38 Robot Masters before this. Imagine if you ate 40 sandwiches. Some different, some similar, some weird. Obviously, you would be pretty bored of sandwiches after a while. Hell, in just this game, every single Robot Master takes 7 hits to defeat with their main weakness. Meanwhile with Mega Man 2, the first Mega Man game to have 8 Robot Masters, Metal Man takes 2, Wood Man takes 1 to 2, Bubble Man takes 4 to 7, etc. Even though there's variety in Mega Man 6's Robot Master fights, there's no variety in how many hits with what it takes to defeat them. And the weapons are an oddly unique case. The Atomic Fire from Heat Man and the Flame Blast are wildly different, the Ice Slasher from Iceman and the Blizzard Attack are similar yet executed very differently, Plant Man has a shield which is similar to every other shield in the prior games, so on and so on. None of the weapons are bad, and the Centaur Flash and Plant Barrier are really good at taking care of some of the more tricky enemies. The Rush power also isn't overpowered despite its looks. It does a powerful attack, but if you charge it you lose your shot's distance, so you need to get face to face with whatever you're shooting. And you can't even slide with it, so you're basically told, don't use this unless you need the firepower or need to destroy a block. And the same basically applies with the Rush Jet, which you get from defeating Plant Man. Though if you have enough experience with it, you can make some pretty damn good use out of the limited flight it has. There is one kind of special part about Mega Man 6 though. It keeps beat in a way that adds a fair amount of replay value. In Tomahawk Man, Yamato Man, Night Man, and Centaur Man's stage, You have 2 separate paths to the boss room, and depending on which one you pick, you'll unlock one of the plates for beat. But if you don't get one, you can replay the stage which has a different color palette on your second tier however many playthroughs you need. But Tomahawk Man and Yamato Man both take this to the next level. At 2, technically 2.5 for Yamato Man, points in their respective stages, you can go off the main path for a different path with a different playstyle. For example, the first path split in Tomahawk Man stage takes you away from dodging and fighting skullwalkers to a more platformer section where you get rewarded for avoiding a bunch of spikes. And in Yamato Man stage, you skip out on a mix of platforming and fighting enemies to fighting one of the game's mid-bosses and getting an E-Tank. The Tomahawk Man is a lot better for farming E-Tanks, since you can get free E-Tanks in one go, so you'd only need to replay the stage 2 to 3 times to max out your E-Tanks. I'm also not that big a fan of how easy that makes the game. Sure, you can run out, but I still beat the game with 8 E-Tanks after needing one at the final boss fight with Dr. Wily? But I thought Mr. X was the main threat!
Are you blind? Mr. X is Dr. Wily.
Yes, unsurprisingly, after fighting Mr. X, we find out that Mr. X was actually Dr. Wily in disguise, something I noticed when I first saw Mr. X back in my first playthrough. But how exactly is this groundbreaking plot twist revealed in the game? After fighting your way through Mr. X's castle, defeating foe after foe, boss after boss, Mr. X reveals, "My scheme for world domination has failed, but I still have enough power to destroy you," then revealing himself to be Dr. Wily the Megaman Shock. Thus, the Dr. Wily road begins. Now I have to say, the Dr. Wily and Mr. X stages aren't really that special. Sure, they keep the split paths, the ones in Mr. X 1, Dr. Wily 1, and Dr. Wily 2 being rather tricky to get to, but they're all just generic end of the game stages. Half of Mr. X's stages ditch the space theme, and the Dr. Wily stages are the most generic of the bunch. Obviously, this is just a given, it's been like this since Mega Man 1, but the Robot Master stages are some of the most visually appealing stages yet. Except Plant Man's false theming has been done to death. Fun character design though, I like how his head is a Sigma in the flower. That's something else that Mega Man 6 does well. At this point in the series, the character designs are really well made. Flame Man has a turban because he's in an Arabian themed stage, Blizzard Man is a skill, Plant Man likes the month of June, Tomahawk Man has a Native American elf design, yes that is a horrifying implication, why is he in a Western stage? I don't like this, I'm scared, I don't want a history lesson from fucking Mega Man 6. Yamato Man is a samurai, Nightman is a knight,
Duh.
Centaur Man is a centaur,
Duh.
and Windman is covered in fans. Even Mr. X's design is pretty cool, even though it's basically just Dr. Wily in a cone and sunglasses, sporting a full bushy beard and a bindi. Okay, a couple of designs are kinda iffy in the modern day and age, but they all definitely pass the silhouette test. Maybe not Mr. X though, he is just Dr. Wily. Mega Man 6 is also just full of gimmicks. I already talked about Flame Man's gimmicks, but there are a few others here and there. Blizzard Man and Dr. Wily 2 has eyesight you can't tiptoe on, Plant Man and Nightman have springs though I feel they're too short-lived. Yamato Man stage is impregnable. Weird. Nightman stage has a crushing section, which we have seen before, but now with spikes if I recall correctly. Centaur Man has gravity-defying water, and Windman has wind.
Duh.
But even the Mr. X and Dr. Wily stages too. Mr. X 2 sees to a ton of non-solid blocks, but now with an orange indication and is introduced to you in a friendly way. Mr. X 3 has two-sided platforms, or if you stand on one side the other goes up and vice versa. Dr. Wily 4 has blocks that only the rush power can push, and Dr. Wily 1 has a long fall and also has the non-sound blocks, but does it a bit worse than Mr. X 2 because the indication is just not there. The game's soundtrack is also just really good. Every single track feels like it has a baseline of the fate of the world is at stake. I mean hell, in the folder of music I have that I use in videos, every single Robot Master stage is in that folder, and out of the NES Hextology, this is the only game to achieve that feat. Even though it's playing right now in the background, all of some of my favorite tracks from the 45-minute OST play so you can see why I felt the game's OST is just that good. God Damn, that is some good stuff. But enough stalling. After fighting your way through Dr. Wily's 6th castle, defeating foe after foe, boss after boss, you and Dr. Wily finally duke it out again. The 3 phases of this fight are really easy. All you need to do is hit the bottom of the Wily machine for the first 2 phases, and then just hit the Wily capsule for the last phase, all 3 needing the silver tomahawk. Sure, the Wily machine capsule is moving around a bunch, firing various hits as you take it down, but again, 9 E-tanks. Damage is like a small pinch on your arm at this point. And after over 2 hours, holy shit, Dr. Wily has been defeated by someone who is afraid of talking to the cashier at a grocery store. Once again, Dr. Wily begs for mercy before Megaman ties him up, sending him to prison. We then get to see a newspaper article from the Capcom Times. Triumphant at last, Megaman arrested the notorious Dr. Wily and brought him to justice. Sentenced to prison for his crimes, Dr. Wily now rules over a prison cell. At long last, the world is at peace. Roll credits. Now on to Robot Master cycling through their actions. Honestly, a really fun detail to add. It's a good thing now that the Megaman franchise has a satisfying ending under its belt. Dr. Wily is arrested, there's 46 Robot Masters we done good, I think, and to be continued.
What the fuck? Huh? What?
Before this review, I viewed Mega Man 6 as a forgettable game that didn't bring anything to the table, but now? That still mostly holds true. But the game would be a perfect finale to the series, and is a great send-off to the NES days of gaming. And the stages are all a lot more memorable to me now. I mean hell, as I'm saying this, I can see the Robot Master stages in my head. Even Playman's. Surprisingly. But I guess having enemies sneak attack you will do that. But while I was replaying the game to remember what it houses, the realization hit me. This game is basically a build-up to Mega Man 7. This is going to be a weird comparison, but just hear me out. Recently, Tyler the Creator released his 8th studio album, Don't Tap the Glass. And in that album, track 4, Mominum, is the shortest one on the album, coming in at 1 minute and 15 seconds. It basically serves as an interlude or build up to the next track, Stop Playing With Me. And I'm not the biggest Mominum fan, but I can acknowledge that it isn't for me. It's an okay track that I'm fine listening to. And Mega Man 6 is the exact same way. I'm gonna save the going in depth of Mega Man 7 stuff for that review, but the game starts with immediate action, with 6 robots wreaking havoc 6 months after the events of Mega Man 6. And it kinda turns out that that was to cover his escape, and not only after you meet a new character called Bass.
He's kind of like how Sonic the Hedgehog has an edgy version of himself called Shadow.
And I really liked Mega Man 7, even giving it an S tier on my first impression tier list. But the events of Mega Man 7 wouldn't happen without the events of Mega Man 6. And Mega Man 6 isn't a bad game. It's fun, visually interesting, challenging at times. It's a good game, it's just kinda with its execution. The SNES was already out for over 3 years by now in Japan. It's just that Capcom really pushed the 8-bit capabilities of the NES to its limits. For what it's worth though, by itself Mega Man 6 is a fun game. And if it's somebody's first Mega Man game, I can see why it'd be their favorite. But for me, the game just doesn't manage to capture the spark that the first 4 games did. And with 5, at least its auto-scroll section and Waveman stage was long enough to be memorable and didn't overstay its welcome, which I felt Mega Man 6 didn't do as well with its gimmicks. They were just a bit too short and sparse for my liking. Spoiler alert though, Capcom did learn the lesson in Mega Man 7. How? Good question, I should answer that someday.
Well, for all of that and more, I'm gonna give Mega Man 6, ironically enough, a 7.1 out of 10 because of literally everything that I just said.
The game looks and sounds great, the gameplay is what I've come to expect, and it can stand on its own as a fun game, but if I had to sum up what I think about Mega Man 6 in just one sentence, that would be, Mega Man 6 is good on its own, but it's just okay when the previous 5 games are in the back of your mind.
Well, that took a minute or two. Now what do? I mean, the only reason I started the inspection in the first place was to ramble on about the Mega Man games, and now I don't have to do that until Mega Man 7, but that's when Ow! My Game Boy Advance SP Gray? What's this doing here? Oh. Okay.